Welcome to Cut to the Chase with Jen and Dan. This is episode 10. My name is Dan Ferullo.
I'm Jen Freed.
Hello,
Double
Jen.
digits.
How are you today? Oh yeah, episode 10. This is excellent. We've been here for 2.5 months that we've been recording every week for this great podcast for everybody.
We're having a lot of fun and we are punchy. We instead of early, we went end of the day. So if we're a little slapstick today, I hope you have as much fun as we do.
Mm-hmm. How are you today, Jen?
I am excellent.
That's good.
What's going
That's
on?
good. Oh, not too much. Just a great week going so far.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay. So, we have 3 great articles for you today. First one is a businessinsider.com article. We'll link that up, of course. The Doomsday warnings about the U.S. housing market are getting it backward.
Didn't we say this last week? Was this
did.
not our exact point?
I think we did. That people are trying to make buyers and sellers think that that market is going to crash or that we're going into a bad time, and that's just not the case.
Definitely not. I wonder if Business Insider is listening to our podcast.
Oh,
are we inspiring this article?
I doubt it, but anyway, so the article goes on to talk about home buyers responding to lower interest rates. So as many people know, interest rates are at nearly record lows right now, and they have been falling steadily over the past 12 months. The average mortgage rate was about a year ago was 4.54%, and now the average mortgage rate is down to about 3.77%.
That is amazing.
I've even heard of people getting about 3.5%, which is absolutely great. So for first-time home buyers, as well as I mean, really for anybody,
refi, guys.
This is great news, and there's so many refinances going on right now, which has been really awesome. I know of quite a few colleagues even who are working on refinances right now too.
And a lot of folks who've been toying with the idea of getting into real estate investing as just part of their personal wealth strategy. Now is the time they're jumping in and they're picking up a little rental property or a vacation property because they can, buy at these lower rates and make it happen now. And real estate, the environment in general for real estate has been so good that a lot of, the folks that are watching where to put your money investment-wise are still liking real estate as a place for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So the article also says pending home sales, which are generally a leading indicator of how the market is doing, have advanced to their best level since mid-2017. New home sales, which is representing signed contracts, have been bumpy in recent months, but have climbed to about 15% so far this year, or have climbed about 15% so far this year. And mortgage purchase applications are up 15% from the highs in mortgage rates last year. So overall, we're seeing some good indicators of the housing market going in a positive direction.
Yeah, I see healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scary headlines, but the numbers say healthy.
And the housing market is getting back to normal, which I think is something that, if I remember correctly, they've been talking about for the past 18 months or so, that, we would be starting to head into a more stabilized and normal housing market. I remember Steve Harney, the CEO of Keeping Current Matters, has been talking about this for quite a while. We were just watching one of his market updates a couple of months ago, and he was talking about this exact same thing, that the market acceleration is going to decrease a little bit, but we're still going to be in an accelerating market. So it's more normal with more homes, hopefully more homes on the market, so that it's not quite as much of a seller's market, and getting into a standard level of inventory, which should be really good for the market.
Yeah, and I think, I'll just say, everyday person, using the word normal, we take that to mean what's normal to us. So on the seacoast, I think we have a sort of an off-putting idea of the market is this is really hard, it takes a lot of figuring out, it's really impossible. And that's really not what normal means. Normal means favorable for buyers and sellers. And so, really, what Dan's saying is we've been traveling in a car going about 150 miles an hour, and we are going to slow down to a car going about 80 miles an hour. So we are still flying down the highway.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
But 80 feels really slow after you've been going 150 miles an
absolutely.
hour. So don't take what feels to be slow as actually being slow, because you're still cranking at a nice rate of growth at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good analogy and a good way to put it. So I think this is a great article. It kind of backs up what we were talking about last week, where one of the articles that we were looking at was basically saying the complete opposite, and that's just not what we've been seeing. So yeah, we'll link this one up for you, and then. Next article, I'm really excited about this article. So this is an article from NAR, the Realtor magazine. NAR says new condo rules will open more doors for buyers. So apparently there is going to be a change to FHA financing qualifications, and right now the way it works for certain condos, they have to be on an FHA approved list, which basically just means that all of the documentation for the association has all been approved by the Federal Housing Association, and they have looked at all the documents and made sure that it passes their standards for issuing insurance on a loan for a buyer.
So this is one of those things that it's almost like the board game. You don't know until you get into the swamp pit. So let's say you're shopping for a house or a condo. You go to your lender and you decide that the best loan for you is an FHA loan. So that's different than a conventional loan. It has different kinds of rules. There's lots of upsides to it,
Absolutely.
but FHA loans have a different set of rules. One of the FHA rules is that you can't buy a condo unless it's an approved FHA condo association, which has been a big bummer for people because condo associations have to actually do a bunch of homework to keep their association FHA approved.
Every 2 years they have to right now.
Yeah, and a lot of condo associations are really great about making sure that they take care of their condo business. They're just like, well, I suppose if someone really wants a condo, they'll just switch over to conventional financing. But boy, that's really,
many people aren't qualified for conventional.
It's a little cumbersome for some folks.
Exactly.
So this is really great news because, especially with rates where they are now, condos are a really great price point in some areas as an entry point, or for folks that are downsizing and need something with a little bit less maintenance. So being able to use an FHA loan, which, they have a lot of really nice perks to them, to buy more kinds of condos is really great news because there's a lot less shopper disappointment when you find out that yours wasn't on the list.
Yep, absolutely. So basically what this article, so there's three things that these new rules, there are three changes which these new rules will happen when these new rules go into effect on October 15th. These new rules will go into effect on October 15th.
I feel like we need costumes. Like we should have the pumpkin when we refer to October. And
I'm not really a costume guy.
Sunglasses for August, so pumpkin 15th.
Jen will be here in her costume, and I'll just be here in my normal clothes.
All right, so October 15th is when these take effect.
Yes, so the rules are going to, 1, extend FHA certifications on condo developments from 2 years to 3 years with an additional 6-month grace period to meet requirements. So alleviate some of the costs and time burdens on the associations when they intend to maintain their FHA approval, but it may lapse for some reason. And I actually had just went through a loan, I worked for the seller, and the buyers were trying to apply for an FHA loan when the condo itself wasn't approved at that time. We did end up working through it and they were able to get the association approved, but it was a lot of work for the association. It was a lot of work for the seller, a lot of work for the buyer. It's just a lot of additional work that was needed to go through. So especially the second rule that will change. It will allow for single unit mortgage approvals, often known as spot approvals, that will enable the insurance, FHA insurance on individual condo units, even if the entire property doesn't have FHA
That's
approval.
huge.
Yes.
So instead of what Dan did, which was to assist his buyer in working with the association to get the whole association approved, there's going to be a way, if you like a particular unit, you may be able to apply to get just that unit FHA financing approved.
Yep, and so some of the certain requirements that would be required for that, the property must have at least 5 units, a limited concentration of FHA insured units, at least 50% owner occupancy, and a maximum of 35% commercial space. But still, that really opens it up quite a bit for people, so that they can get, and condos are typically more affordable than most houses that we see around, especially here in the Seacoast area. So I think this is really going to open up and revive the condo market, which I think has kind of been not doing as well as it could be.
It's been around here, it's been moving a lot slower than the single family home market.
Yeah. And then the third change, it will secure additional flexibility in the ratio of investors to owner occupants allowed for financing in a condo building. So while the current owner occupancy requirement is 50%, HUD may approve an owner occupancy level as low as 35% for older properties with less than 10% of units in arrears, or individual investors can purchase no more than 10% of units in a property with more than 20 units and no more than 1 unit in properties with less than 20 units. So it's kind of sounds a little complicated.
Numbery,
but,
very
yeah,
numbery.
Yeah, but overall, that's one major thing that can derail a condo being approved for FHA insurance right now, because if there are a lot of investors in that particular association, it can make it difficult for the lenders to provide financing on it.
All right. So
awesome.
Good news.
Yeah, awesome. So I really love that. I think that's going to be really exciting come October 15th. So I think we'll probably be doing some more condo sales this fall.
I'm exciting.
And then the third article, the new study finds New Hampshire is becoming a magnet for millennials.
Say that 10 has asked
magnet for millennials.
I can't do it.
So
well, where are the millennials going? Give me the breakdown.
All right. So the top 10 states where millennials are moving. Number 1 is Washington. 2 is Texas, Colorado, Arizona, North Carolina, Oregon, Georgia, Nevada, Tennessee, and last but not least, New Hampshire.
All right.
How about that?
So net migration, they're saying 6.719 million or percentage.
Oh, I don't know.
Has to be percentage.
I think it's 6,719.
You just made your screen bigger. Yep. So, net migration
data comes from the U.S. Census Bureau and reflects the number of people between the ages of 20 and 34 who moved to the state in 2017, minus the number who moved out of the state. We gained approximately 7,000 millennials,
which for a state like
New Hampshire
is
in 2017.
Yeah, I was about to say 6 million. We'd be overrun. We'd be doing a lot of business, Dan.
Yeah, right. We would. So Manchester seems to be the largest town where the millennials are moving to, but I think the image of New Hampshire generally was that we were an aging state. So I think this is kind of defying the odds a little bit there.
Yeah, and I see New Hampshire on a list of, they list us in the tech corridor with Massachusetts. So I think we're almost like a bedroom community to a lot of those tech jobs. And I think as those industries continue to flourish, people are going to keep living in New Hampshire.
Especially around peas and, all of that.
Well, you can have your city job, you can work remotely, go into the office when needed, and then, have your house in the woods in New Hampshire, or on the beach, ski in
the mountains in the fall. I mean,
tax-free.
We're an hour and 15 minutes from everything. It's pretty awesome at the most. So another interesting thing that this article mentions is that New Hampshire is the second oldest state in the nation, with a median age of 43.1.
Yeah, we're going to end up talking about that a lot, I think. I think that's going to really impact what kind of housing is built.
I hope so.
How long people are in houses, what becomes available.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to really make our housing market interesting around here.
Yeah.
I've done some reading about the care that's available. Maine has had a bit of a crisis. They have a shortage of people to care for their aging population, and so it's really actually starting to impact their real estate. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing the same things in New Hampshire, because our numbers are so high as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So topics for future podcasts for young and old.
Awesome. So this was a New Hampshire Business Review article, and we'll post that up, of course, with the show notes and on the YouTube page. So I think that's all that we had for you on this beautiful summer evening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this episode, please click the like button, subscribe on YouTube.
Leave a review,
a review.
Some stars. We like
would love
5,
a review.
this many.
Yes, please 5.
Because it's this episode.
Yeah, 10. Episode
5
10.
5 stars for episode 10.
Stay tuned for next week, and we will talk to you then.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.